Good day everyone, I am Jamica the Ocampo and I am here to present about the figures of speech which are the metaphor, personification, and alliteration. First, what is metaphor? Metaphor is simply put is a figure of speech containing an implied comparison. With metaphors, words or phrases that are ordinarily applied to one thing are applied to something you wouldn't necessarily pair with it, and metaphors are illustrated comparisons. Metaphors are members of the figurative language family, which also include elements like similes, onomatopoeias, and personification. Let's take a closer look at this prominent branch of the figurative language family tree. Metaphors are illustrated comparisons. Metaphors are illustrations that make a strong point by comparing two things you wouldn't necessarily pair together. And here are the 5 metaphor examples. First is I'm drowning. Here grief is so overwhelming that the person feels helpless, like they are being pulled under water. Second is she was fishing for compliments. In this case, the woman isn't literally casting a lure to hook compliments out of the ocean. Rather, it's a dead metaphor used to signify a desire for accolades. Third is success is a sense of achievement. It is not an illegitimate child. This saying reinforces the belief that everyone wants to take credit for success, but no one wants to take responsibility for their failings. Fourth is, he broke my heart. Your heart isn't literally broken. You're just feeling hurt and sad. Last is, you light up my life. Of course, no one can provide physical light. This expression is simply saying that someone brings them joy. Purpose of metaphors. Do you see how metaphors tend to pair the intangible with the literal? When used properly, metaphors create strong images and leave lasting impressions. For example, he was sad is so blunt compared to he was drowning in a sea of grief. Metaphors allow us to have a greater impact on the readers with them. We can convey a thought more forcefully than with an ordinary statement. And even though metaphors are exaggerations, they are only exaggerated to paint a vivid picture or make a profound statement. Metaphors lend themselves particularly well to poetry because they have the ability to paint pictures in the reader's mind. Next is personification. Personification is a type of metaphor and a common literal tool. Everyone knows what a person is, but do you know what personification is? It is when you assign the qualities of a person to something that isn't human or that is even alive, such as nature or household items. Work through these personifications examples to see how well you understand the concept. These are the examples of the personification. The stars danced playfully in the moonlit sky. And then example. Next is Why use personification? There are many reasons for using personification, and it can be used as a method of describing something so that others can more easily understand it. Can be used to emphasize a point, can be used to help paint a picture in your mind. You may even use personification without knowing it. Next is these are the purpose of this is the purpose of personification. Personification, as seen by the examples above, personification is used to assign human qualities to things that are not human, but it does not make them to behave like a human. The purpose of this figurative language is to bring inanimate things to life to better explain them. Writers often use personification to make their writing more vivid and to have the reader understand the object or animal in a better way. Keep having fun with this literary device by checking out numerous examples of personification in poetry. Lastly, the alliteration. In alliteration, words that begin with the same sound are placed close together. Although alliteration often involves repetition of letters, most importantly, it is a repetition of sounds. For example, Philip's feet is an alliteration because the sounds are the same. On the other hand, cheerful cup, it might begin with the same letters, but it is not alliteration because the sounds are not the same. The word alliteration comes from the Latin word latera, meaning letters of the alphabet. For example, you might have heard this alliteration that repeats the S and I sounds. Repeats the S and L sounds. Example, Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Another popular alliteration that repeats the P sound. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. The certain sounds can affect the mood of a poem. Alliteration can be used to give a poem a calm, smooth feeling or a loud, harsh feeling. For example, the phrase singing songs of the seaside utilizes the S sound. This gives the phrase a soft and smooth sound. Meanwhile, the phrase keep that crazy cat out uses a hard K sound. This gives the phrase a harsh sound and adds a threatening tone because alliteration is such a bold and noticeable device. It may be used to call attention to a certain subject. Many great speech makers have used alliteration to emphasize certain parts of their arguments. And that's all. Thank you.